The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Piston kicks off the first day of their three-day transport strike against the PUV modernization program in Metro Manila though the lack of transportation is hardly felt in some areas. In some parts of Quezon City, it's nearly business as usual for both drivers and commuters. Some drivers say they were not informed that they were supposed to participate in the strike. There are also drivers who support the strike's cause but say they still need to support their families. Around 80 jeepney operators and drivers plying the Guadalupe-El Ginto route rally in Manila. However, the group says many also opted not to join the protest. In fact, the transport strike is hardly felt along Taft Avenue, where most jeepneys are still empty with less commuters on the road. The strike, though, is more evident at Monumento, where drivers lie down on the road in protest of the PUV modernization. They gathered at the break of dawn before marching toward the main strike center. The group says they expect up to 10,000 jeepney drivers to participate in this particular protest. Participants include drivers from the 36 routes that pass through Monumento from Manila, Caloocan, Malabon, Valenzuela, Navotas, and some parts of Bulacan. The LTFRB, along with some local government units, are set to provide free rides amid the transport strike organized by the Piston Group. The Quezon City government has deployed about 96 buses to serve possible stranded passengers for the entire day. The Manila local government unit has also designated several vehicles for free rides in the city. Additionally, the LTFRB intends to deploy about 250 vehicles across Metro Manila to serve 10,000 passengers per trip. The MMDA, meanwhile, has suspended the number coding scheme today.
Naka-preposition po yung nasa mahigit 250 assets po ng government mula po sa MMDA, PNP, JTF NCR, DPWH sa 20 staging areas po sa NCR para magbigay po ng libreng sakay sa mga pasahero po nating maaapektuhan.
Still on transportation, another round of oil price rollbacks will possibly be implemented tomorrow. Diesel prices are seen to go down by 50 to 80 centavos per liter, while prices of gasoline are expected to be slashed by 60 to 90 centavos. If realized, this will mark the third straight week of rollbacks in petroleum prices. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Private sector economists' inflation expectations for 2024 slightly decline as they now expect average inflation to settle at the upper end of the Bangko Central's target band. A BSP survey of external forecasters in November showed that analysts now expect inflation to fall at 4% from 4.1% previously. The new forecast is now within the central bank's 2 to 4% target. Meanwhile, the mean inflation forecast for 2023 and 2025 was kept at 6.1% and 3.5% respectively. The BSP expects inflation to remain elevated by gradually falling into target. The central bank cites supply-side shocks and second-round effects as the main upside risks to inflation. The BSP also sees weather disturbances and geopolitical tensions possibly driving food and oil prices. Inflation eased to its lowest pace at 4.9% in October, bringing the average inflation to 6.4%. That's still above the BSP's 6% full-year forecast. Despite the upward revisions, the Bangko Sentral still expects economic growth to fall below the target set by the government for the next 3 years. According to its latest monetary policy report, the BSP sees the GDP in 2023, 2024, and 2025 falling below the growth targets set by the Cabinet-level Development Budget Coordination Committee. The economy rebounded strongly with a 5.9% GDP expansion in the third quarter after slowing to 4.3% during the second quarter of the year. The BSP says the estimated growth path reflects primarily the impact of subdued global economic conditions, as well as the lagged impact of policy rate adjustments. Here are the biggest headlines from around the world. The United States denies a report that Israel and Hamas have already agreed to temporarily pause their conflict. The U.S., however, said it is continuing to work to get an agreement between the two sides. Argentina elects libertarian outsider Javier Milei as its new president. Official results showed Milei winning with a near 56% of the votes versus 44% for his rival Peronist economy minister Sergio Massa, who has earlier conceded. Milei presents some radical views in fixing the struggling Argentinian economy, most notable of which is what he calls an economic shock therapy, which includes shutting the central bank, ditching the peso, and slashing spending. SpaceX's uncrewed spacecraft Starship is presumed to have failed in space minutes after lifting off. The two-stage rocket ship blasted off from the Elon Musk-owned company's launch site in Texas on Saturday, but the rocket's super-heavy first-stage booster exploded over the Gulf of Mexico shortly after detaching. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 11:15 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro, PR1 News. All sides, all the time.